My beloved child, I have seen you become so absorbed in chasing after miracles that you forget that it is I, myself, who am the covenant, calling your name. Miracles were not made for you to stand at a distance and watch, but to draw you into the life that belongs to me. For whoever comes to me I will never drive away. John 6:3-7. So today I shatter every illusion that makes you only watch but not live. Only touch, yet never belong. There are days when you walk through life like someone lost in a noisy marketplace. You see the light, but do not know who lit it. You feel stirred but cannot tell who is touching your heart. You think everything is only coincidence, every connection merely chance, and even your very presence in this moment seems to you to have no worth. Yet I, the one who wove your soul together before the world was formed, still patiently lead you back to the appointment I set for you from all eternity. Here, every breath and every small movement has a purpose, so that you may know that the journey of faith does not begin with a dazzling miracle, but with a gentle gaze from God, who keeps seeking you in the crowd that seems so meaningless. And then there are moments when you believe that the fractures within you are nothing but useless burdens, that your tears are a shameful weakness, and that the prayers you whisper into the night are only breaths of despair dissolving into the dark. You think I am silent. You think that all this pain produces nothing but exhaustion, but you do not know that those very tears are being kept by me like precious seeds, waiting for the day they blossom into miracles in the timing of heaven. You still imagine that miracles only come when heaven and earth are shaken. But in truth, a miracle begins the moment you allow your heart to soften before me again. Every wound you carry is not a failure, but a record-bearing witness that you need me and that I have never left you. And then, when you remain outside the miracle, watching me act as if you were an audience at a performance, the faith within you becomes thin as smoke. You watch. You are moved. You say, "How wonderful." And then you return to your old life as though you had never met me. That passivity makes you think that I am present only through videos, emotional moments, the brief times when your heart trembles a little. But you do not realize that I do not call you merely to listen and then walk away, but to rise, to step into the covenant, to act according to what you believe. Every small response of yours, a confession of faith, a step of obedience, is an echo in the spiritual realm, opening up realities that only those who truly live by faith can touch. There are times when you live like someone walking through a fog, with everything that happens to you blurred, unsure whether it is luck or fate pushing you along. The small consolations that brush past your life, a sentence spoken, a short video, a sudden warmth in your heart, you also dismiss as random waves in an ocean of information, not as someone seeking you, touching you, calling you. Your heart has grown so used to the feeling of being abandoned that any good thing is quickly labeled by you as mere coincidence, having nothing to do with the hand of God. But when you slow down a little and sink into the present moment, you will notice a quiet yet steady heartbeat leading you on. It is the rhythm of God's love. It is not by accident that you pause right now. It is not by chance that you find yourself standing before my word. This appointment already bears your name. It has been marked from eternity, like a seal that no span of time can erase. I know exactly the moment you arrived, the place where you are sitting, and even the sigh you never utter aloud. You have not stepped in here by mistake. You have entered the very room I prepared for you. And as your eyes gradually grow accustomed to the light that comes from me, you will realize that the signs which seem so ordinary are in fact the language I am using, a sudden wave of peace, a thought that unexpectedly becomes clear, a sense as though someone has just laid a hand upon your heart. It is I who am sanctifying the simple things of your life, your small room, your old bed, the screen of your phone, turning them into a space of encounter where I come very gently. Yet truly, you think you are only watching a video, But in reality, you are stepping into a meeting that heaven has long known about. When this truth unfolds, you will see that you have never been dissolved into the crowd. I call you by name, without confusion. I see you even when you believe you are invisible. Every step you think is wandering aimlessly is in fact moving along the narrow path I am guiding. Nothing in your life is by chance. Not even the moment you clicked here. And when you grasp this, every doubt about your life being directionless will dissolve like smoke. For behind each small detail, from a word that appears at just the right moment to a gentle stirring in your heart, there is one who is skillfully writing your story with tenderness and with clear intention. You no longer need to wonder whether anyone notices you. It is I who have been standing and waiting for you long before you could call my name. If you are willing, I will take you further, so that you may see that this accidental moment is actually the starting point of a truly guided journey. All I ask is that you stop treating it as coincidence, for I have never worked in a random way. There are long stretches of time when you live like someone carrying a heavy heart without knowing where to place it. You speak to me, yet you think I do not hear. You cry, yet you believe that no one sees. You pray, yet deep inside you tell yourself that your words are simply drifting into the air. That feeling erodes you, little by little, until you treat your own pain as something useless, a burden that brings nothing but exhaustion. You have grown accustomed to the thought that if even you cannot understand your own wounds, then surely God cares even less. But the truth does not lie within that slow-burning pessimism. For the very moment a tear falls from your eyes, I have already kept it. When you sigh in the night, I hear that sound as a calling of my name from the deepest place in your soul. Not a single pain of yours is small in my sight, and not one of your prayers is taken lightly by me. I do not merely know about your sorrow in general. I know each layer, each fragment, each cause that even you yourself cannot fully grasp. You think today is just another ordinary day of endurance, but in truth, it is the day I begin to restore you in a way that is complete and full of power. For when I restore a person, I do not only heal the surface that you can see, I go to the very root. I touch your body where it has grown weary, where it has been sick, and I breathe new life into it. I touch your circumstances where you have struggled in lack, and I open doors of sufficiency. I touch your soul where it has been weighed down by disappointment and drained dry, and I sow into it a quiet yet enduring joy. I touch your direction in life where you have been confused as if walking through a maze, and I redraw a straight path of light so you know where you are to walk. And when you understand this, the wounds within you will no longer be merely traces of pain, but the very material I use to build greater things. No craftsman creates a masterpiece out of flawless material. They draw beauty from what is rough and unfinished. I do the same. You hand me what you consider ruined, sad, or wrong, and I turn it into the foundation of grace. You see only your tears falling to the ground, but I see them soaking into a field, a place where one day you will harvest fruits you never imagined. Do not treat those pains as signs that I do not care. On the contrary, it is precisely that fragility which draws you closer to me than you realize. I do not let you carry them as punishment, but to open within you just enough space for me to step in. What you see as an ending is in fact only the first chapter of a resurrection journey. What you regard as meaningless is exactly where I begin to rebuild your life into the shape I have desired for you from the very beginning. You are not invisible before me, and your tears are never wasted. Today, I call you to step into a day of response, the day when my light begins to seep into every dark corner you have long tried to hide. There are seasons when your spiritual life becomes so quiet that everything seems to be nothing more than stories you listen to just to ease your heart. You treat my words like background music, pleasant, moving, and then gone. You shed a tear. You feel your heart soften. Yet you remain standing in the same place because you believe that I will do everything, and you only need to sit and watch. That sweet passivity makes you forget that a miracle is not a show, but an invitation to a life that includes your response, your cooperation, your own stepping in. If you only sit there and wait, you will unknowingly turn me into a servant, while you yourself reject the role of companion in the covenant. For true faith does not rest only in feelings. Feelings warm your heart, but actions open the door for miracles to enter your life. I do not ask you to do something extraordinary. I call you to do something concrete. One small step forward. One public confession. One act of response, even if very ordinary, is enough to make faith become something tangible. You think that actions like liking, subscribing, speaking up, or showing up consistently are merely online gestures. But for me, they are signs of a soul that not only hears the word but desires to belong to the word. When you take even one public step, heaven records it in ways you cannot imagine. And if you are willing to look more deeply, you will see that lazy faith always leads to disappointment. You hope that I will do great things, yet you do not want to move out of your comfort zone. You long for a clear direction, yet you refuse to step into the small circle of light I have placed at your feet. You desire movement from heaven, yet you keep yourself standing still. A person who never lifts their feet will never see the path open up. Miracles do not arise in the midst of indifference. They are born in cooperation between my will and your willingness. When you confess your faith openly, it sends a vibration through the spiritual realm. Faith that only whispers in your mind is still heard by me. But faith that is publicly spoken shakes the very walls of darkness that have been trying to keep you stagnant. I have taught that whoever acknowledges me before others, I will also acknowledge before my Father. That is not a mere formality, but a principle by which the kingdom of heaven operates. Faith brought into the light becomes a new current in your spiritual life, opening the way for things I have long prepared but have waited for you to step forward to receive. And when you begin to understand that faith is not a chair to sit on and watch, but a pair of feet to walk with, you will sense spiritual maturity beginning to sprout within you. You will no longer want to watch just to feel less bored. You will want to step into real life with me, where every response of yours, even the smallest, has the power to change the very sky hanging over your life. Do not let my word become just another video you scroll past in a day. Let it be a call that makes you rise, act, and live a faith that has shape, has sound, and bears clear signs. For it is precisely when you respond that you step into the territory where miracles are no longer things to watch, but realities to live. There are moments when blessing comes to you quietly, but instead of letting it become a light that spreads, you hide it away like someone afraid of losing a precious possession. The fear of being misunderstood, the fear of being judged, and the habit of staying safe make you close the door of your heart. You tell me about your joy, but when I remind you to pass it on to someone, you pull your hand back, afraid that if I share, I'll lose my portion, afraid that others will enjoy what you believe should belong to you. In that invisible defensive stance, you do not realize that blessing was never born to be kept. Clutching it only makes it run dry, while letting it flow is what allows it to live in you longer. For the kingdom of heaven operates by an upside-down arithmetic that you cannot measure with the logic of this world. In the world, whatever is divided becomes less, but in me, whatever is given away increases. The miracle of the loaves and fishes is not just a beautiful story to listen to. It is a clear declaration that only when blessing is broken and shared does it become abundant. I did not work that miracle in the hands of those who clutched tightly, but in the hands of those willing to give. In the same way, your blessing is not lost when you share it. It is multiplied for you before it ever reaches someone else. The more you fear losing your share, the more you narrow the flow, the more you open your heart, the more you will see your life widen in ways you never imagined. And if you pay attention, you will see that your soul is like a small spring hidden in the mountains. When the water is held only within the pool, it grows murky, stagnant, and gradually loses its life. But when it is allowed to run over the rocks, it becomes clear, fresh, and full of vitality. You cannot ask me to make your life new while you keep everything I have placed into your hands locked away. Blessing is not taken away when it flows through another person's life. It is simply finding the path by which it can return to the place from which it first came. You long to live in a region of lasting blessing, but that only happens when you agree to become a flow, not just a container. The most beautiful thing you have not yet seen is this: every person you share with opens a new door in heaven specifically for you. When you send this message to the one who comes to your heart, you are fulfilling the very role of one who is called. You are no longer just a passive receiver, but a bearer who carries blessing further. And it is precisely in that moment that I renew your life in a way far stronger than anything you asked for. For the kingdom of heaven never leaves the giver standing with empty hands. I will not let you become poorer by doing what I desire. So do not let spiritual hesitation block the flow of grace. Do not let the fear of losing your share make you unknowingly lock your own door of blessing. What you share does not only transform others, it also preserves the blessing in your own life, keeping it enduring, fresh, and continually fruitful. You were made to receive, but you were also made to give. And only when these two movements happen together will your spiritual life truly become strong and enduring. There are nights so long they seem to have no dawn. And in that darkness you have often asked yourself whether I am still near you. The silence makes you feel as though I have stepped out of your life, leaving you alone to grapple with a hollow no one else can understand. In those hours when you open your phone just to soothe your heart, you watch a few spiritual videos to feel a little less sad. Then close the screen again with the same emptiness as before. In that weary repetition, you gradually begin to see everything as mere formality. Even the words I send you through this channel, you think it is just another passing piece of content. Nothing special, but I am doing something you yourself cannot see. For I do not use holy places in the way you once knew. I have chosen another road, an altar woven through technology, an invisible space that nevertheless touches the deepest part of your soul. Each video you encounter is not a random fragment of content. It is a small stone I am placing upon the altar to rebuild your faith. When you are weak, a notification appears at just the right moment. When you need a word of lifting, that video shows up as if someone knew exactly what you were going through. You call it an algorithm, but in truth, it is I who am arranging all things so that you do not lose your way. Even when you no longer have the strength to call my name, and when you allow yourself to listen a little more deeply, you will realize that the words I send here have never stopped at the level of pleasant feelings, but always carry guidance, correction, and even gentle warning. For I do not only want to comfort you, I want to lead you. I do not only want you to feel less sad for a moment, I want you to stand firm for the whole journey. Each video is a time when I examine your soul, looking at the hidden weariness you never share with anyone, touching the dark corners you conceal, even from yourself. I have not brought you here for entertainment. I have brought you here for healing and instruction. If you think I am silent, it is only because you have not yet recognized the way I am speaking. I do not press into your life with loud noise. I choose to touch you with signals just quiet enough for you to realize you have never been forgotten. And when you begin to see this channel as a place of long-term companionship, you will start stepping out of the loneliness that has clung to you for so long. You will no longer have to wrestle alone with tangled thoughts. I am walking with you through each word, each moment, each gentle nudge I have arranged uniquely for you. Do not regard staying here as supporting a content creator, for you will miss what I am sowing. This is not merely a channel. It is the cord I am using to hold you fast in the storm season of your soul. If you walk away, you will carry with you only a tiny fragment of the larger picture I am painting for you. And when the winds rise, you will more easily lose your bearings. But if you remain, I will use every word spoken here to build your faith in a quiet yet steadfast way, until one day you look back and realize you did not walk through the dark season alone, and the silence you once feared was actually the space I prepared so you could hear my own voice more clearly. I tell you this with solemnity yet with great grace. Everything that darkness has tried to crush in your life, I am gathering back to restore in a way that surpasses your understanding. All that you thought had slipped through your fingers forever, I am tracing along every crack in time to bring it back to you in a new form, purer, stronger, and soaked in the anointing oil of heaven's blessing. Nothing is wasted. No tear of pain is discarded. No wound exists only to drain you. Everything is moving along a path that only I, the one who holds the entire story, can write to completion. But you must understand, no miracle can blossom in a closed heart, and no renewal can be complete if you only stand on the outside, watching like a stranger. I am waiting for you to stretch out the arms of your spirit, not with a posture of panic or weakness, but with a quiet conviction that I never break my promises. You cannot simply sit and hope for miracles to happen. You must step out of your comfort zone and reach for what I am setting before you, like someone who grasps the ripe grain, knowing this harvest has not come by luck, but by a promise being fulfilled. The tears you once thought were signs of failure are actually filling the cup of blessing in the heavenly realm. I have gathered every drop that fell on your pillow, every time you swallowed your sobs so no one would notice, every night when darkness stroked your despair until you could barely breathe. Not one tear has been forgotten. Not one collapse has been taken lightly. I have kept them all, like a master goldsmith collecting every fragment of shattered gold to refine it into a new form. When you wept, you believed it was the final full stop, but I saw in those tears seeds already ready to crack open. You did not realize you were being led into a deep process, the process where tears cease to be the liquid of sorrow and become nourishment for a season of flourishing, blessing that is about to pour over your life. You see the wounds, I see the foundation. You see loss, I see birth. You think darkness has won. I know it is the stage where the soil must be turned so the roots can grow deeper and stronger. What the enemy has tried to use to bring you down, I am turning into new life. It wants you to believe that your wounds are proof I have abandoned you. But those very cracks are the places where my light shines in the strongest. It wants you to withdraw, close off, and fall silent. But I am using that very weariness to open a deeper dependence on me, a closeness you would never have sought if you had remained strong in your own eyes. Every door that closes, every dream delayed, every person who turns away, I see it all. Not so that your pain may last longer, but so I can clear the way for something better, purer, and truer to enter. You are not failing, you are being recast. You are not being rejected, you are being prepared. You are not forgotten, you are being positioned. And today I tell you that everything born out of pain is being recycled into strength to usher you into a new beginning. Every rejection you endured becomes a drumbeat announcing a new chapter. Every door that slammed in your face becomes a reminder that you no longer belong to the old ways. Every shard you had to pick up with trembling hands is becoming a step on the staircase lifting you higher. Not a single experience in your life is unnecessary, not even the ones you wish you had never gone through. I have placed an eternal purpose upon each of those moments, a purpose that, even now, as I speak to you, is beginning to break the horizon like the sun rising at the end of the earth's edge. But you need to know this. The message you are hearing does not end with you. It comes to you first, but not so that it will stay in you forever. I have chosen you not only to be healed, but to become the stream that carries that healing to others. You do not realize that among all the people living in this world, I have set my sight on certain souls who cannot be reached by any other means than through your hands and your heart. I place this message in your inner being so that it will not only heal you, but also flow through you like a spring of water, finding its way down into a parched valley. You are not the final destination. You are the vessel I use to carry blessing to the place that longs for it most. Let your mind pause for a moment and think of the person I am bringing into your heart right now, a person struggling with exhaustion that no one sees. Someone withdrawing because of hidden wounds. Someone so lost that even the faintest light could bring them to tears. You are not thinking of them by accident. It is I who am causing their image to appear within you. For my word does not come merely to comfort you alone, but to flow through you to someone who is so desperate that a single ray of light is enough to lift them from the edge of the abyss. I am not placing a burden on you. I am giving you the opportunity to become a witness to the renewal I am working in this very hour. When you pass on what you have just received, you lose nothing. You are helping to open a blessing of which you yourself are the first, strongest, and fullest recipient. You do not know this, but heaven is watching very closely every time you choose to share my gospel with another. For when you do so, you are not only pulling someone back from the brink of despair, you are at the same time confirming that you yourself are stepping into the workings of my kingdom, where everything that is given returns in ways far more wondrous than you imagine. I never leave you diminished when you obey what I call you to do. On the contrary, precisely when you open your hands to offer hope, faith, and the word of life, I pour into your hands many times more than what you have just given. Therefore, as you hear my word today, do not keep it for yourself alone. Life never stands still. It either spreads or it withers. I want what you have received to become a powerful stream, reaching the one you are thinking of, the one I have been kindling in your heart even before you could grasp why. Let my word pass through you, for it is then that you will truly understand what it means to walk with me, what it means to step into the role of one who carries light in the night season of this world. And as you do that, you will know that you are not walking alone. You are walking with me. In the plan I have written uniquely for you, a plan that no one else can take up in your place. There are moments, in what seem to be the most ordinary instance, when I place in your heart the image of someone you yourself do not understand why you suddenly remember. It is not because your mind randomly flips through old memories, nor because your feelings surge up without cause, but because I am whispering into your heart a gentle, yet unmistakable reminder that someone needs a little light, a word of support, or simply a small signal that lets them know they have not been forgotten amid the heavy days they are carrying. It may be a loved one facing a sorrow they do not dare to speak, a friend trying to appear strong while cracking inside, or an acquaintance whose life is being tested by wounds so deep that ordinary words of comfort cannot reach them. You think it is only a passing thought, but in truth, I have intentionally set that person's face in your mind as an invitation. Take the light I have given you and place it in their hands. The appearance of that image is never random. It always carries within it the heartbeat of a sacred assignment. And in the very moment when you hesitate, wondering whether you should share my word or not, I already know the answer. I see every small movement in your heart. I see the softening within you the moment you think of that person. And I know you have been awakened by the love I have sown there. I do not need you to pretend to be strong or to play the hero. I only need your willingness. For in every journey of those who belong to me, willingness always opens doors that human strength could never open. When you send a word of comfort, a message, a sentence I have placed in your mouth, heaven moves in a way that is very quiet, very deep, yet exceedingly powerful. It may sound simple to you, but in the spiritual realm, it is the sound of a bell announcing that you have taken your place as a messenger, not in some exalted sense, but in the truest sense of the word, one who carries my light into places where light is lacking. When you share my word, not just one miracle happens, but two streams of blessing unfold at the same time. The first flows toward the one who receives, where I use your words like a breeze that opens doors and touches places they have allowed to gather dust for far too long. The second flows back toward you, where the blessing does not stop but is multiplied according to the principle I established from the very beginning. When you give away a ray of light, a new light is kindled within you. When you pass on hope, your heart is widened to receive a greater hope. When you lift another to their feet, you yourself are raised to a higher level. You may think you are only sending a small message, but in reality, you are sowing a seed with the capacity to grow strong over time. Scripture says, "Give, and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over." And that is never an empty promise. It does not operate as a mechanical formula, nor as a kind of transactional cause and effect. It is the law of the kingdom, like breath, like the pulse of the earth, like a stream that must keep flowing in order to stay alive. A river is beautiful only when it does not hoard its waters, but lets them pass through and thus continue to be renewed. In the same way, your spiritual life truly grows only when you allow blessing to pass through you instead of locking it away as a private possession. Sharing my word is not an act of losing what you give, but of opening the valve, creating a flow, so that the blessing does not stagnate but finds a way to pour into your life more and more. Just as a farmer cannot hope for a harvest if he has never placed the first seeds into the soil, you too cannot see grace blossom if you refuse to sow the small things I have entrusted to you, the words I put in your mouth, the stirrings you have just received, the gentle reminders that are being kindled in your heart. All of these are seeds. They were not given to be kept in your pocket. Laying them in the ground means placing them into someone's life. When you do that, the seed begins to crack open, to change in secret, and one day you will see a plant spring up in that person's life, and also in your own. The miracle you have long been waiting for is not always something far away. At times it is the growth that begins from the very things you thought were the smallest. No spiritual law operates more powerfully than this one. You cannot break it, because it is built on the very nature of God Himself, the one who always gives, always pours out, always multiplies. When you align yourself with that nature, you step into a flow where the blessings in your life do not get cut off. Conversely, when you cling tightly and hold back, you unknowingly separate yourself from what I long to pour out. The more you fear losing your share, the more you narrow the door of receiving, the more you share your blessings, the wider that door opens. Water is clear only as it flows. Blessing is alive only as it is given. This is not a philosophy, but a reality that runs through the entire spiritual life of all who belong to me. You often think that miracles must be dazzling, resounding, and occur in extraordinary moments. Yet sometimes the greatest miracle lies in a movement as light as a breath, a word shared that warms someone's heart and causes the heavens to open wider over your own life. You do not see it with your eyes, but every time you release my word, angels are sent forth, darkness is pushed back, and your life steps into a realm of stronger protection. The restoration you are asking for, the direction you are seeking, the peace you are longing for, all of these are multiplied when you refuse to keep the light for yourself. I know you have thought that sharing my word is merely a supporting act, as though you were promoting something for me. But no, my child, it is part of the miracle I am working for you yourself. There are things I cannot pour into your life, unless you open your heart according to the very principles of my kingdom. And this sharing is one of the doors that few notice. Yet it is profoundly powerful. When you send this word to the one I have brought to your heart, you are placing a key into the very door I want to open for you. You are not only doing good for someone else, you are clearing the way for your own life. You can picture this as the life within a grain of rice if the seed is kept only in storage. It will never become a golden field, but when it is sown, it dies a little in order to live again many times over. So it is with my word in you when it is given away. It spreads, it grows stronger, and it returns to you in a new form, richer, more mature, more steadfast. Those who know how to pass on the light will never be left forgotten in the dark, for it is precisely that act of giving that brings them closer to the source of light. Therefore, when the image of someone suddenly rises in your heart right now, do not treat it as a whim or a passing memory. It is my invitation, a sign that you are being entrusted with a small mission of great weight. Do not let your hesitation keep you from sending the light I long to bring to them through you. A single message you send may become the cord that helps them cross a deep chasm. And at the same time, you yourself step into a new region of blessing I have already prepared. When you share my word, you are sowing into two lives at once. And I will tend each of those seeds until the day you behold a harvest more abundant than you ever expected. Remember that what I have placed in your life was never meant to be hidden away like a treasure locked in a chest, but to become a flowing stream that refreshes thirsty hearts that no longer know what to cling to. Many times you think that blessing should be kept for yourself alone, because you fear others will not understand. Fear your sharing will be despised. Fear that listeners will lack appreciation. Fear the judging looks of those who do not share your spiritual heartbeat. Yet you do not realize that this very caution has become an invisible wall blocking what I desire to pour out even more into your life. I do not bless you so that you may become a keeper of a storehouse. I bless you so that you may become a sower. Just as the wind only truly means something when it sweeps across a field and stirs each blade of grass, blessing is only truly alive when it is carried from your heart into another heart. With every act of sharing, you are opening yet another gateway for my light to cross the borders your fears have raised for so long. Imagine you are holding a small lamp in your hand. Its light just enough to illuminate your steps on a narrow path. If you keep that lamp close to yourself, its light will stop within the range of what you can see. But if you lift it up high, the light will not only touch the ground beneath your feet, but will also spread ahead of you. Enough for the one walking behind to see and keep going. When you share my words, you are the one lifting that lamp high. You lose nothing. For light cannot be diminished by being given to another. Light only knows how to spread wider, shine brighter, become more beautiful, more powerful. That is why I keep reminding you that a blessing is only truly preserved when it is used to kindle another flame. A candle becomes lonely only when it refuses to pass its fire to the candle beside it, but when it gives its flame, the dark room is instantly turned into a place filled with light, and the first candle itself still stands firm, still burns, still blazes just as brightly as at the beginning. The kingdom of heaven operates by a principle you will only understand when you begin to practice it. Blessings are never divided, only multiplied. The world teaches you that when you share, you lose. But I teach you that when you give, you increase. The world says, keep it to stay safe. But I say, give it away to live full. As soon as you let go of the fear that you will be left lacking, you will see that my storehouse does not merely keep enough for you, but overflows so that it can flow through you to those in need. Each time you share this message, it is as if you are breaking a piece off the bread I have placed in your hands. You did not create that bread, you are simply the one entrusted to distribute it. And as you break it, you will be amazed that the bread does not grow smaller. On the contrary, you will see that the very moment you give is the moment the blessing is activated in a way that only the kingdom of heaven can do. There are people I prompt you to share with, not because they need to understand something new, but because what you are about to send will become a seed sown into a ground they thought had long gone barren. Some are lost and do not dare to say it. Some still smile while their hearts are shattered within. Some have just prayed, "Lord, please give me a sign." And at that very moment you appear in my plan as the one who brings good news at the right time. You are not the one who fixes them, not the one who heals them, not the one who solves their problems. You are simply the one who delivers the blessing sent from heaven, and that alone is already enough to cause the darkness in their lives to begin to crack. When blessing flows through you, it does not stop at lighting up someone else's life, but also awakens your own soul. A person who keeps blessing for themselves alone usually grows dry without realizing it, yet the one who gives blessing away is watered by that very blessing in return. Like a tree nourished by the stream that runs along its trunk and roots. The more you give, the more spacious you become, the more spacious you become. The more you can contain. The more you can contain, the more I can trust you with to pour in. When you share my words in a message to your family, what happens is not merely that a piece of text is sent. It is that I use your very courage to touch places where your family has thought I had been silent for a long time. When you post this message as a status on social media, it is not to display morality or piety, but so that I can use those words as an arrow of light piercing the chaotic sky of another person, waking them from their long nights of despair. When you send it to a struggling friend, you are not just sharing some content, you are carrying out a sacred act, handing over hope, rekindling a flame, calling by name a drifting soul that does not know the way home. Some will read and not respond. Some will see it and say nothing. Some will remain silent for a very long time. But do not judge that silence in the way you think. My word never returns void. It always accomplishes precisely what I send it to do, even when you do not see it immediately. Perhaps today they do not show anything, but tonight they will ponder. Perhaps tomorrow they still will not write back, but in a weary morning they will remember the very words you sent. Perhaps they never express it outwardly, yet the seed you sow has touched a part of their inner ground they once believed was dead. This message is not only letters, it is a stream of life. And once it has begun to flow into someone's heart, it will never lie still. It will sprout. It will grow. It will take root. It will blossom when the time comes. And you will never fully know that one small word you hesitated to share could be the very thing that saves someone from a wrong decision, keeps someone from collapsing, lifts someone up out of the depths of despair. You only see a gesture on a screen. I see a soul being rescued in the midst of a long night. You only see yourself pressing the send button. I see a door of heaven opening. You only see a simple action. I see your beautiful obedience setting all of heaven into motion. That obedience, however small, carries a power that darkness cannot endure. Obedience in my kingdom is like planting a seed in the ground. At first it disappears. No one sees it. Yet the very moment it vanishes is when life begins. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days pass, and nothing seems to change. But deep in the soil, that seed is splitting open, moving, drawing in the nourishment the earth offers, and then, at the appointed time, the tender shoot will push through the soil, unveiling a life that nothing can stop. Your sharing is the same, quiet, small, unassuming, without noise. Yet I use it like a drill, piercing the hard shell of the human heart, opening a crack through which light can enter. So never think that sharing my words is something optional, a task you take up only if you happen to have time. It is part of the very lifeline I want you to step into. You are not a beggar for blessing. You are a bearer of blessing. You are not only someone to be encouraged, you are someone entrusted with a commission. You are not merely a receiver, you are one who is sent. And when you live this out, it is not for me to discover your obedience, but for you yourself to step into the very design I wrote for you from the beginning to become a carrier of light. Therefore, send this message out with the quiet confidence of a soul that knows it is contributing to a plan far beyond its own sight. Send it with the trust that blessing is never lost as it spreads. On the contrary, it can only be stopped when you hold on to it for too long. Send it with the joy of knowing that I am using your very voice, your very hands, your very heart to open a new path in the spiritual realm. And as you do, understand that you are stepping into the second wave of the miracle, no longer just the miracle you receive, but the miracle you give. Both flow from me, but the second miracle shows that you have grown, stepped in deeper, and are living more fully in your true calling. I rejoice when you receive, but I am even more delighted when you share. And it is precisely then that the blessing on your life will grow in ways you have never imagined. You will sense yourself becoming more generous in soul, clearer in spirit, stronger when facing trials, and more at peace before the very things that once made you afraid. For the one who gives never runs dry. The one who gives becomes more and more full. And as you continue to live like a flowing stream, I will continue to pour in, so that you will never lack anything that comes from me. You only need to take one more small step. Share these words with the person who is coming to your heart right now. For the very moment you do, the miracle will not only touch them, but will multiply over your own life. Never keep for yourself what was born to be spread. For the things that belong to me never flourish in closed spaces. When you cling tightly to the grace I have placed in your hands, you unintentionally strip it of its power to bear fruit, but when you share it, the blessing naturally finds its current and pours back into your own life. I have established an unchanging principle in my kingdom. Whatever is given in my name becomes a seed, and that seed will grow into a harvest you yourself cannot measure. So when I urge you to open your heart, it is not because I want to take something from you, but because I want to make room for greater things to enter. Many hold on to blessing out of fear of lack, yet the tighter they grip it, the faster it dries up. But those who learn to let grace flow through them are the ones I fill to overflowing. If you pay attention, you will see that a spring never worries about running dry as its water flows out, because it knows its source is not in the small pool you see, but deep in the earth where I have placed the living well. So it is with you. The blessing you share does not arise from your personal effort, but from the stream of grace I am pouring out without ceasing. When you dare to speak, dare to give, dare to send to others what I have awakened within you, you are opening for yourself the opportunity to step into an even wider river of grace. You need to understand that before I unveil the glorious things I have prepared for you, I must lay a firm foundation in your soul. And that foundation is the awareness that this channel is not just a series of videos uploaded over time, not just a stream of content meant to stir passing emotions. It is a living altar in the digital world, a place I have chosen to meet you in a form your generation can receive. I am not confined by stone walls of a temple, nor bound by physical space. I can step into your small room, slip through the cold screen of your phone, and touch the deepest place of your soul with words that surpass the limits of technology. Every video you watch is not merely content. It is a piece of the larger picture I am painting for your life. There are days you think you clicked here by accident, but in truth, that is when I open a window of heaven for light to slip into the weariness wrapped around your heart. There are moments when a single sentence feels as though it pierces your heart, and that is not random coincidence. That is when I use a prophetic word to break the invisible chains that have been holding you in the dark. You must know that every word I send through this channel is carefully prepared in the spiritual realm. I choose the timing. I choose the rhythm. I choose the exact moment you need most. There are times you watch and do not realize it right away. But that word is quietly at work within you, like a seed resting in the soil waiting for the day it will sprout. These videos do more than comfort, they heal, correct, release, and open doors you never knew existed. They cut off long-standing negative thoughts, remove the cords that have bound your soul, and rekindle the hope you thought had long been extinguished. That is why I ask you not to see this merely as a video channel. It is the place where I set my presence, the place where I draw you up out of the abyss of loneliness that no one else sees but me. And precisely because this sacred moment is of such great value, I am asking you for 2 specific actions to seal what is taking place. I am not asking to satisfy an algorithm, nor to increase any metrics. I am asking in order to mark in the heavens that you have heard, you have received, and you have chosen to align yourself with me. When I call you to press the like button, I am not requiring a soulless motion from you. I desire that click to become a spiritual declaration sent up to heaven that you are in agreement with what I am speaking. When your finger touches that button, you are saying, "Yes, Lord, I receive your word and I accept your power to move in my life." One small action in the visible world becomes a powerful imprint in the invisible realm. Heaven listens to even the softest response, and also answers those who express their faith through steps that seem ordinary. You think a simple click is nothing, but in the realm of the Spirit, it is the sound of a bell striking against the door of heaven. When 2 on earth agree about anything, my Father will bring it to pass. This is what Scripture says. And I move in exact accordance with the principle I, myself, have established. When you agree with me, you are declaring covenant through action. And covenant always carries power. I honor your free will. I do not force you. But when you open your heart to unite with me, I immediately open heaven. Those who dare to respond to me publicly never leave empty-handed. For the kingdom always rewards those who stand in holy agreement. I do not look at the size of the action. I look at the heart behind it. The second thing I ask of you, subscribing to the channel and turning on the bell, is not to keep you here for the sake of numbers, but to keep you within the journey of growth that I desire to lead you through. What begins today cannot end in this one moment, because I still have countless things to speak and teach you in the days to come. There are seasons you are about to enter that will be full of challenges. If you are no longer connected to my word, you will lose your footing amid the sudden storms of life. When you subscribe, you are not simply following a channel. You are building a sturdy bridge between heaven and your heart, so that every word I have prepared for you will have a pathway to reach you at the exact time you need it. I have already written beforehand the messages you will need in the future, words of healing for the day you collapse in weariness, revelations for the moment you are unsure, warnings for the times you step onto the wrong path, and tender calls of love for the day you feel you no longer have the strength to stand up again. You need to know that if you do not subscribe, the cord of connection will gradually loosen over time. Like a small flame being blown by the wind without shelter, you will forget what I have spoken. You will lose track of the current of grace I am using to draw you, and the coming storms will make it harder for you to hold on to your faith. But if you choose to subscribe, you are saying to me, I want to remain. I want you to keep leading me, keep teaching me, keep correcting me and maturing me. That is a silent prayer which even you yourself may not realize you are praying. And I honor that request by continuing to pour out my light, my wisdom, and my guidance upon your life without ceasing. Do not let this moment slip by as if it were a coincidence, for it is not accidental at all. I have arranged this encounter long before you became aware of it. Do not entrust your spiritual future to an algorithm. Let it be you who decides to remain in the stream I am opening for you. True transformation does not happen in a single moment of emotion. It happens in steady, ongoing connection with my voice. The closer you stay, the more clearly you will understand my intentions for you. The farther you drift, the more easily you will be pulled back toward the many other sounds of the world. I do not want you to go astray one more time. I want you to step into true maturity, true strength, true freedom. And I will use this very place to keep leading you forward. Let this small action today become a milestone of great transformation in your future. If you remain, I will lead you into things you never dared to dream of. If you stay connected, I will fulfill the words I have promised. And if you open your heart, I will turn this place into a compass that guides you through every season of your life until the day you look back and realize it was from this very moment that your life turned to a new page. The miracle I am working in your life is not a brief flash of light that quickly fades, nor is it a random gift you happen to receive in one pleasant moment. It is a deep and flowing current, a hidden work that began before you even realized you were standing at the edge of exhaustion. You thought everything I do only appears when you cry out in prayer. But in truth, I have been preparing for this hour long beforehand, the moment when you would be ready to be healed, not just in part, but in your whole being. I gather up not only what is broken in the present, but also the things you have forgotten, the fears buried away, the wounds frozen in your memories. I do not throw these things away, nor do I leave them to rot in the dark. I lift them into my powerful hands like a potter patiently touching every crack in a jar, not to return it to its old form, but to recreate it into a work of greater worth and meaning than it ever had before. The restoration I have for you is not a shallow patch on the surface, and it is not a temporary fix that simply helps you get through another day. It is a rebuilding from the foundation upward, where every desolate place, from your body to your soul, from your thoughts to your direction, is brought back to life in a way that only God Himself can accomplish. And you must understand this when I begin to act. There is no ruin in your life that is too late, too deep, or too complex for me to touch. You have been afraid when hearing bad news about your health, trembling at the thought that your life might be limited by what doctors cannot explain, feeling as though your own body is betraying you. But I am stepping into those very areas that seemed already condemned, to breathe new life into them. I do not work by merely brushing lightly over the places where you feel pain. I trace things back to the root. I turn over each layer. I loosen every knot. I open every blockage that has made your soul suffocate in long silence. You once thought you had to endure pain because it was your portion, the reality you must accept. But I have not written any chapter of your life that begins in despair and ends in resignation. I did not form your body to be a dwelling place for unending fatigue, nor do I leave you to live under invisible fear simply because you have heard too many grim forecasts, too many medical conclusions that people treat as final. No, I am not limited by diagnoses. I am not limited by science. I am not limited by age or by history. I am the one who created life. And wherever I lay my hand, that life begins to beat strongly again. When I lay my hand upon your body, it is not only the things you feel that are changed, even the things you do not know you are carrying within yourself are being renewed. I touch your blood vessels and clear away what has been obstructing their flow. I touch your nervous system and soothe the tensions that have worn you out for so many years. I touch the organs that are weak and breathe new strength into them. I touch your immune system and restore its ability to protect you. I touch the damaged cells and command them to recover and function according to the original design I placed within you. You cannot see it, but I am at work. You cannot fully sense it, but heaven is moving around you. You do not fully understand the process, but the result will make you know that I alone can rebuild what seemed lost. And not only is your body being touched, your life itself is being rearranged in a way more orderly than you ever thought possible. Where you once struggled in lack, I am opening doors that you could never have opened by your own strength. I am leading you out of the posture of barely surviving into a stance of having enough to keep moving forward. You were not created to live trapped in a spiral of anxiety over finances, debt, and expenses that never seem to cover the long, exhausting days. I do not allow you to be strangled by scarcity, nor do I desire you to live constantly afraid of tomorrow. The blessing I pour out does not stop at merely helping you pay off what has tormented your thoughts. It also makes a way for you to live in freedom, no longer bound by the fear of not having enough. I lift you up so that you may understand all that once collapsed in the area of finances is not a full stop, but the very ground on which I will reveal my provision more gloriously. Your soul, too, is included in this process of resurrection. You have let sorrow eat away at you. I have lived with the feeling of being out of breath because of old wounds, have tried to appear strong, while inside you are like someone exhausted who is just barely holding a smile. I do not condemn you for that. I simply want you to know that I see it all. And I have come not to judge your weakness, but to turn it into strength. The dark patches in your heart, the memories you do not want to touch, the stories you avoid mentioning, the times you swallowed your tears just to keep going, I gather them all into my hands. Not to reopen your pain, but to heal it. I will not let you live one more day locked inside a heavy shell. I open a door in your inner being so that light can enter, and the things you thought would cling to you forever, like a shadow following your life, are now fading, lightening, and disappearing under my breath. I do not mend what is damaged so that it simply becomes less bad. I make all things new as if they had never been wounded at all. And then I touch your direction in life. All this time you have been living without being sure you are on the right path. You have stood at crossroads not knowing which way to choose. You have prayed, yet felt you could not hear an answer. I know how tired that has made you. I know how the lack of clear vision has left you confused. But from today, I begin to set the markers on your path again, step by step. You do not need to know my entire plan. You only need to follow the small light I place before your feet. That light is enough to keep you from stumbling. And as you keep walking, the light will stretch further ahead. I will not let you wander in the fog forever. I restore direction, straighten the road, and widen the way so that you know you are drawing nearer to what I have prepared for you from the very beginning. In all that I am doing, healing your body, healing your heart, lifting your life, establishing your path, there is one truth you must engrave upon your soul. Miracles are not something I do merely so that you can have a pleasant moment. They are the means by which I rebuild your life. And I do not restore you simply to a former state. No, I do far more than what once was. I rebuild you into a better image than before, stronger than before, wiser than before, more steadfast than before, more alive than before. You are stepping into a process in which each day will carry you further away from your old weariness and closer to the version of yourself that I envisioned when you were not yet formed. I am rewriting your story, not from the middle of the chapter, but from the very roots. What you see as ruins, I see as a new foundation. What you call failure, I regard as the raw material through which I display my glory. What you think is an ending, I use as a gate into a brighter chapter. And what you once trembled before as the thing that would finish your life, I am turning into the very proof that my power is never limited by anything human. Receive what I am doing. Open your heart to welcome this restoration. Do not merely wait for a miracle in a fleeting emotional moment and then let it pass. Let it soak into your life. Seep into every corner, every part, every thought. You are in the process of being brought back to life, a journey that is unhurried yet certain, quiet yet full of authority, not sudden and flashy, but persistent and deep. And the most beautiful thing is this: you do not have to walk this journey alone. I am carrying you in my arms, little by little, beat by beat, breath by breath. Everything I touch within you is coming alive. All that once was dead is rising up out of the grave. Every place that was dry and barren is beginning to sprout. Every door that was shut is turning on its hinges and opening at the sound of my gentle call. You only need to believe, not with a passing feeling, but with the full surrender of your heart, for you are in the very midst of the miracle, not standing on its edge. You are being restored, not merely soothed for a moment. You are stepping into what is new, not retracing what is old. And everything I have begun in you will not stop halfway, because I am the one who brings to completion all my works in your life. Listen very carefully to what I am about to say, because from this moment I am unveiling a new level of blessing that, until now, you have only dared to long for in silence. I did not form you to drag yourself through life, struggling through each day on broken breaths. Nor did I shape you to be someone who is accustomed to hardship, huddled in fear beneath financial worries that cling like a shadow. What I am preparing for you is greater than anything you have ever calculated, and far beyond the limits of your worn-out way of thinking. You once believed I would only help you scrape by month after month, debt after debt, shortage after shortage, but I am, instead, shaping a season of abundance, a new land where you no longer begin each morning with a sigh, afraid that lack will once again tighten its grip around your neck. I know the nights when you lie motionless in silence, staring at the ceiling and wishing that tomorrow might be a little less heavy, with one less bill, one less demand to pay. You tell no one, yet I still read the suffocation in every beat of your heart. That is why I am setting a table for you in a place where lack has no more power, where financial burdens melt like mist in the morning sun, where every calculation that once sent you into turmoil now becomes a testimony to my careful and exact provision. You must understand that when I say bless, I am not speaking of a few drops falling just enough for you to limp through another day. I am speaking of a mighty stream that smashes old walls, of doors of opportunity that not only open but burst wide before your eyes. I am turning every situation that seemed immovable, reshaping paths that appeared permanently closed, breathing a new vitality into your finances so that every area once frozen by debt begins to move. The things that once made you ashamed, the unpaid bills, the times you avoided others because you did not know where to find the money, the circumstances that forced you to shrink back for fear your weakness would be exposed, all of these I am dismantling piece by piece. You no longer have to carry them like a sentence over your life. I am replacing those burdens with ability, with opportunity, with resources flowing from places you never thought you could reach. I am not just touching you, I am touching the environment around you. The words of those who will appear at the right time, the right relationships, the marketplace, your work, your mind and your hands, so that you may do what you never thought you were capable of doing. The invisible chains that have wrapped themselves around your financial life, the old habits, the limits you set on yourself, the slip-ups that left you carrying shame, I am breaking them link by link. I will not allow them to become a story that repeats itself, nor will I let you go on living in the weary cycle of having just enough, then lacking, then struggling to hold on. I am building within you a new foundation firm, clean, holy and enduring. When I say you will enter abundance, do not imagine some showy, frivolous luxury. I am speaking of the stability your soul has always longed for, the purity you have never fully tasted, the steady strength of a life I tend to from the roots. You will look back and see that your financial suffering was only the sowing season through which I prepared a harvest. You have also felt lonely at many points along this journey. There are moments when you look around and see that everyone seems to have someone beside them, while you quietly withdraw into silence, as if loneliness were your only companion. You have thought that those who left were evidence of your failure, that being misunderstood was your fault, that something broken in you caused your relationships not to last. But you did not know that I removed certain people from your life because they were not aligned with the direction I am preparing for you. You have not lost anyone. I am simply clearing the way so that stronger, healthier, more enduring connections can enter your life. I do not create empty spaces to hurt you. I create space so that those I have chosen can have room to step in. I am preparing people whose hearts know how to listen, how to empathize, how to uphold you at the very moment you need it. These are people who will not stand with you only in times of joy, but who will remain even when you are at your weakest. When they step into your life, you will not have to shrink yourself to fit them, will not have to pretend to be strong, will not have to push your pain down inside. You will be able to be yourself. They will not drain you, will not make you question your worth, will not push you into the dark corners of comparison and inferiority. They will make you larger, brighter, stronger, gentler. You will experience their presence like lamps I light so that you no longer have to walk through the night alone. I bring them to you not to replace my presence, but so that you may feel my companionship through their hands, their smiles, and their words. And you can rest assured that not one person I bring into your life will wound you in the way you have been hurt before. The old disappointments will not repeat themselves, for I do not choose at random. I choose hearts that have been tempered through trial, people whose maturity is enough to understand you, souls who know how to honor fragility and how to lift you to the exact height you need, rather than dragging you into a deeper pit of ongoing hurt. I choose them because I know that the road ahead of you is not one you can walk alone. You need people who can stand beside you in storms as well as in sunshine. You often think you are used to enduring, but I do not want you to live that way forever. You are, my child. You deserve to be surrounded by relationships that build you up, not strip you away. And when I say I will replace your loneliness with fitting companionship, I am not speaking of connections that fade quickly or encounters that pass in an instant. I am speaking of a delicate arrangement of souls. I draw close to you at the very moment your heart is ready to open. I do not bring them while you are still clinging to old relationships, still entangled in the confusion of your pain, or still unaware of your own worth. I bring them when you have come to know that you deserve true love, when you have understood that you are not the one who must always strain to keep others from leaving, when your soul has been set free from the old negative voices that once labeled you as small and insignificant. When you arrive at the right time, the ones who are yours will also arrive. I want you to recognize that the loneliness you have experienced was not my rejection. It was the process by which I separated you from bonds that did not belong to you, so that you would not unknowingly build a nest on foundations destined to crumble. I allowed certain relationships to leave you, not to weaken you, but so you would not be pulled off course from the path I am leading you on. There are people who keep you trapped in fear, in disappointment, in small calculations. I have had to remove them from you so that you would have room to receive those who can lead you farther, wider, and into a safer place. Each goodbye is not a sign that you are not good enough. It is a sign that you are stepping out of what is not good enough for your soul. I also see the times you doubt your own value, wondering why others are surrounded while you remain quiet and alone. But you must understand this. The ones I have chosen for you are unlike anyone you have known before. They come to lift you up, not to consume you. They do not appear only to hand you moments of joy, but to walk with you through the trials ahead. And you will come to see that when I place someone in your life, They stay not because of usefulness, but because of genuine love, genuine respect, and genuine steadfastness. They do not come and go like the wind. I bind them with an invisible yet unbreakable cord to your very calling. Some will come so that you may see your worth reflected in their eyes. Some will come to remind you that you do not have to battle life alone. And some I send simply to stitch back together the parts of your heart you thought were ruined. As you begin to see this, you will realize that your life is changing not only in the realm of finances, but also in the very relationships that shape your inner being. I am not healing just one area. I am restoring your whole life. You are entering a new land where I both grant opportunities and place the right people to walk with you and guard you. This is not a shallow arrangement. It is the strategy of God for a person like you, called by name, with a purpose and a future. You will notice that this change does not unfold with noise and spectacle, but with solidity, depth, and permanence. When I restore you, I do it at a level that no power can reverse. In every place that has held deep sorrow, I am breathing in a kind of joy that is not dependent on any outward change in your circumstances, a joy not created by external laughter or by temporary satisfaction, but arising from my living presence within you. You have lived through days when everything felt heavy, when sigh followed sigh, when your soul was plunged into such thick darkness that you yourself doubted whether you had any strength left to go on. Moments of loss brought with them the feeling of being abandoned, of being useless, of having no ray of light reserved for you in this life. And in that exhaustion, you began to believe that joy would always be out of reach. But I am doing a great work that you have not yet fully perceived. I am resetting the foundation of your emotions, gently withdrawing each thorn that has been driven deep into your memories, giving back to you the capacity to feel life in its wholeness. The sorrows that once clung to you like a stubborn shadow are slowly fading, not through shallow forgetting, but through the healing that comes from my own hand, the one who reaches the very root of your pain and does not merely soothe its surface. At the very moment when you think your heart has already turned to stone, I am planting in it the power to smile again, a smile that is not forced, not hidden, not strained, but one that bursts forth from a soul that has truly been upheld. I am bringing the light back into eyes that had grown dull from exhaustion, making your face gentler after so many days, bent low under the weight of worry. The warmth you feel passing through you in moments that seem the most ordinary is the proof that I am slipping into your deepest cracks to revive every part of your life that has decayed in despair. You do not recognize this immediately, but from within the silence, I am arranging a transformation completely different from what you imagined, a transformation that unfolds from within, steady and quiet, which no power of darkness can ever destroy. And then, in the places that were once chaotic with tangled thoughts, with thousands of unanswered questions, with the days when you forced yourself to keep walking while so confused you did not even know whether you were living right or wrong, I am bringing a deep clarity. You will begin to feel that your mind is no longer a twisted maze. Instead, it becomes a road that has been opened up, with direction, with purpose, with a light leading the way. The decisions over which you once hesitated, afraid of being wrong, afraid of failing, afraid of hurting yourself or others, will become lighter, because I am shining my light so you can see which path you need to take, what you need to let go of, and what you need to pursue. My clarity does not come with pressure or shouting, but with a peace as gentle as a good wind. A peace that lets you know you are no longer feeling your way forward, alone, in the dark. The doubts that once held you back, that tugged you backward every time you tried to move forward, are also dissolving like thin mist in the sunlight. I am teaching you that doubt is not the enemy when you bring it before me. The danger lies in keeping doubt locked inside and allowing it to grow into mistrust. I am loosening each inner knot, each weary question, each unease that you do not even know how to name. I'm leading you to the place where you know where you are meant to go, not walking in fear anymore, but walking with the confidence that comes from knowing I go before you. And when that clarity floods your life, you will experience something that has never truly happened before. You are no longer lost inside your own mind. The sudden shifts in direction, the inexplicable inner turmoil, the nights you held your head in your hands because you did not know which choice was right, all of that will give way to guidance from on high. A guidance, gentle yet powerful, drawing you out of merely getting by into a more mature life of faith. The depression that once pressed on your chest like a heavy stone is being lifted, not in a sudden way that leaves you shocked, but slowly and surely, like the way the sun gradually drives back the night. I am restoring your capacity to feel, so that whether the wind is against you or the rain falls hard, you still sense within yourself a new endurance, not a strength that comes from you, but a power I have placed inside you. Each breath you take will become lighter, each step more confident, and every morning you wake up you will feel a new life sprouting from beneath the soil that once lay barren from disappointment. And then, when you stand before the crossroads that once made you tremble, my guidance will help you discern which path leads to life, which path leads to weariness, which choice is woven into my plan. The mistakes of the past will no longer repeat themselves, because you now carry light within a light that does not depend on others to point the way, but flows from me, the eternal source. What was once a dim place now becomes a bright one. What was once confusion now becomes powerful clarity. What once made you fear tomorrow now makes you look forward to it. You will see yourself shift from someone who only wanted to survive each day into someone who knows they were made to live with purpose. From a heart that only knew how to curl in on itself because of pain, into a heart that opens wide with deep joy. From a mind drowning in chaos into a mind with clear paths and peace. I am not healing just one part, I am rebuilding the entire foundation within you, so that your emotions, your soul, your thoughts, and your direction are all renewed. What I am doing is not a temporary repair, but a recreation at the root, like a potter kneading the clay again to form a new shape. I am reshaping your life with patience and a love that never grows tired. And when you allow me to complete this work, you will see that what you once called an ending is in fact the doorway into another kind of life, a life where darkness no longer has the right to bind you, where joy no longer runs away from you, where you know you are being led, being loved, being kept moment by moment. You will see that you are no longer a lost soul in a vast universe, but one who is called, known, touched, and led step by step. The clarity I give you will not only show you how to live today, it will also help you stand firm when the winds change. You will know that once my light has been sown into your heart, no darkness can swallow you anymore. And this is exactly what I want you to understand. You are not walking alone. You have never walked alone. And the things you call coincidence, luck, or chance are simply the words you use to describe what I have been quietly doing for you all this time. Now I am beginning to uncover everything before your eyes, healing that is taking place, clarity that is coming, joy that is being restored, and your life being led into a new path not built on fear anymore, but on the unfailing guidance of the one who loves you more than you love yourself. When I say that, I will show you the next step. That is not just a comforting promise, but a sacred commitment written deep within your soul, even before you became aware of my presence. You have grown so used to groping in the dark, trying to move according to your limited understanding, trying to guess what tomorrow will bring and whether there is any way out of the endless cycles you have walked through for so many years. But now I want you to know that you no longer have to fight on instinct, like someone who walks alone. I will open your understanding, not with the kind of knowledge that makes you proud or self-reliant, but with a peaceful discernment that helps you read the movements hidden beneath the surface of life. To see the lines I have already carved out to guide your steps in the right direction. The wisdom I give you will not come with noise, but with enough stillness for you to recognize which voice is mine, which is merely the echo of fear, and which is the deceiving whisper that darkness wants to sow into your heart. When you can distinguish like this, you will walk without constant hesitation, without doubting every choice, but with the steady confidence of one whose hand is held by God Himself. That hand does not clutch you in coercion, it lifts and supports you with tender love. From the one who knows every hidden wound inside you, knows what you fear, what wears you out, what you lack, and knows exactly when you need a gentle push and when you need arms wrapped around you so you do not collapse. I will rebuild your life from the foundation up, not with the fragile materials of this world, ambitions that easily crumble, expectations that easily shatter, relationships that easily fade, but with materials that belong to heaven, enduring, pure, and radiant in glory. I do not build your life the way people put up a temporary shelter, just enough to shield from sun and rain. I build your life the way a master craftsman patiently touches every detail, placing into it a purpose that surpasses earthly measures and goes beyond every limit of human thought. Every word I speak over you is a stone that cannot decay. Every blessing I place upon you is a pillar that will hold you through the seasons when you feel you are about to break. My word never fails. Wherever it goes, it accomplishes what it was sent to do. It does not stop halfway. It does not fall to the ground without meaning. And the love I have for you is the very power that keeps this work in you standing firm. No matter how fiercely the storms of life may blow, that love does not change with moods, does not fade with time, and is not weakened by your stumblings. It remains, living and strong, like the very breath I placed in you from the first day. Everything that darkness has tried to steal from you, your joy, your innocence, the gifts I gave you in your early days, the relationships that should have brought you peace, the dreams abandoned midway, the opportunities that seem to have slipped through your fingers, I will restore and multiply in ways that will leave even you amazed. I do not work on a foundation already ruined by the enemy. I tear down the old foundation and rebuild it with everlasting wisdom, so that even the things that once hurt you become pieces of a new beauty in your life. What time seems to have taken from you, youth? Strength, hope, trust, I will return with a quality you have never tasted before. Because I do not simply give back as it was, I restore in glory. What you thought was lost forever, I will place back into your hands. But when you receive it again, you will see it transformed, purified, lifted to a new level that no one will be able to destroy. And now, as you stand at the threshold of the renewal I have prepared, I want you to activate something powerful, the response of your heart. The miracle I work does not move in only one direction. It needs your cooperation to become a continual flow instead of just a brief sparkle that fades. When you open your heart, you are flipping the switch that allows my light to spread into every dark corner within you. When you say yes, you are opening the door for me to come in deeper. When you walk in the direction I show you, however small the step, you are taking part in the miracle I have prepared for you. Without the activation of faith, blessing will only stand and wait. But when your faith is drawn out of its comfort zone and expressed in action, everything I have spoken begins to take root and bear fruit in your life. Do not think that this response has to be something grand or extraordinary. Sometimes it is simply your decision not to run away anymore. Sometimes it is letting go of an old habit so you no longer keep harming your own soul. Sometimes it is speaking up for what is right. Sometimes it is simply telling me that you are willing to be led. I do not demand that you become strong all at once. I only desire that you be honest and willing. When your heart turns toward me, heaven moves. When you change your inner posture, the sky above you changes. When you decide to believe that I am truly walking with you, every invisible chain that has held you down for so many years will begin to crack. I also want you to understand that the blessings I give are never meant for you alone. It is not because I want you to lack, but because a blessing only remains alive when it is allowed to flow. If you keep everything I place in your hands without sharing it, those very things will slowly dry up. But when you let them pass through your life into the lives of others, they are not lost, they are multiplied. I have established such a law at work in my kingdom: what is given away becomes abundant. What is shared gains the power to increase. What is placed into another's hands will return to yours in greater measure. And when the blessing comes back, it does not only keep you standing firm, it turns you into a conduit of grace, someone I can trust to carry what I long to sow into this darkened world. You are afraid to share because you are afraid of losing. Yet you lose nothing when you do what is on my heart. You are only strengthening your own spiritual life. The more you allow blessing to flow through you, the wider your heart becomes, the more open you are, the more room I have to pour in. It is unconscious selfishness that makes you poor, while holy generosity enriches your life in a way nothing on this earth can compare to. And then, when you realize that I am rebuilding your life upon a new foundation, you will see that the loneliness you have carried on your shoulders never truly belonged to you. You thought I was silent, but I was only changing the way I speak to you so that your heart would become more sensitive to my presence. You thought this channel was just a source of content, but in truth, it is where I have placed invitations, warnings, and gentle directions meant for you. I have used this space as a kind of digital altar where you can meet me in the midst of a world so noisy it suffocates you. You have found me in the smallest moments, when a video appears at the exact time you need it, when some phrase pierces straight into the place where you are confused, when a line in a post makes your eyes burn with tears and you do not even know why. That is me calling you back, taking hold of the part of your soul you have allowed to dry out for far too long. If you remain in this journey, I will nourish your faith little by little, not with sudden bursts of emotion, but with the steady persistence of a gentle rain soaking into dry ground. And when stormy seasons come, for your life will still face strong winds, you will no longer collapse as you once did. For this time, you are not relying only on your own strength. You are standing on a foundation I have laid with truth, with love, with a word that never collapses. You will stand firm, not because you are strong, but because I am there, upholding you, keeping you, leading you, and giving you a life beyond anything you have ever dared to dream. When faith is brought into the light through your words, your actions, a concrete step of commitment, it ceases to be a drifting thought or a fragile feeling that flickers for a moment in the human heart. It becomes a tangible reality, visible, voiced, leaving its imprint in the spiritual realm. And it is in that very moment that my power is activated, not only over your personal life but over the spiritual atmosphere, where thousands of souls are touching me through their declarations of faith. What many do not understand is this: my kingdom does not operate merely through silent inner belief. It moves when faith is called out loud, when it is pushed out of the quiet depths of the soul and steps into a form of existence that heaven and earth alike must acknowledge. You do not realize that every word you speak, every sentence you write, every seemingly insignificant gesture, all of it becomes a kind of command code inscribed into the unseen realm. And when thousands of people act in this way, standing together in a sacred harmony, reaching out to me not only with passive expectation, but with a courageous choice to bring their faith into the light before the world, it is as though the heavens begin to move. There, all the small sounds of each person's voice merge into a single cry for justice, a call for miracles, a petition that the entire heavenly court must listen to. It is no longer just an individual prayer, it becomes a collective declaration of souls opening themselves to receive me. And when heaven hears such a voice, I never turn away. I respond. I always respond to those who dare to believe before the light has dawned, who dare to speak out what their eyes have not yet seen, who dare to kindle in the darkness a confession that I will do what I have promised. And every time you do this, you are not only causing a ripple in the invisible world, you are crossing the threshold of your own life, into a place where you are no longer bound by shifting emotions, negative thoughts, the limits of your circumstances, or the fear of being disappointed. You are breaking down the wall that kept you in a posture of waiting to see, a posture that turned you into a spectator instead of a participant in the sacred journey I have invited you into. When you publicly affirm what I have spoken, even before you see anything, you step into the role of a co-laborer, a partner with the kingdom of heaven, someone who allows miracles to find a path into their reality. You must understand that faith is not a passing emotion, nor is it baseless optimism. Faith is the courage to walk with me in the moments when the surface of your life is still hazy, when answers remain silent, when outward circumstances have not yet changed. Faith is putting your foot down on the water while the wind is still strong and the waves are still rising. And it is precisely this that shakes the spiritual world, not because you are strong, but because you dare to believe that I am strong, not because you are capable, but because you dare to rely on the one who never breaks his word. Whenever a group of people, a community, or thousands of souls at once choose to believe in this way, choose to walk this way, choose to make their faith public instead of keeping it hidden, spiritual waves are released that your eyes could never measure. It is like a vast sea lying still. Yet the moment the wind of the Holy Spirit blows across it, new waves rise up at once, carrying the weight of transition, transformation, and the eruption of what I have long prepared. And in that very moment, your declarations are no longer just words, they become doors through which I enter your life in a more powerful way than before. Many still think that I act only according to my own will, and that human beings need do nothing but wait and see. Yet the kingdom of heaven does not operate by such passive thinking. I hold absolute power, but I created you so that you could collaborate in the unfolding of what I do. When you speak out, you are opening a way for miracles. When you publicly affirm your trust, you are signing a covenant in the spiritual realm. When you write a single sentence of faith, you are presenting yourself before heaven like a soldier, taking his place in the army of light. And when you do this, while you still see nothing, I regard it as a great faithfulness. I honor those who do not wait until the miracle becomes visible before they praise. I honor those who dare to call victory by name while they are still walking across the battlefield. I honor those who declare healing while their bodies are still weak, who proclaim restoration while their souls are still weary, who speak of breakthrough when all they see in front of them are walls. I honor them because they have understood the very nature of faith, not believing because they have seen, but believing in order that they may see. When you write, when you openly express your faith, when you dare to stand amid many voices of doubt and say, "He will do what he has spoken," you are causing the heavens to open. For that confession is a form of warfare in the spiritual realm, a torch lifted high in the night to declare that darkness has no right to possess your soul. And when thousands of people raise that torch together, the light becomes a sacred flood that fills the sky, driving away every force that seeks to weary you or make you question the love I have for you. I see the words you write, not as scattered characters falling across a screen, but as living stones being set into the foundation of what I am building within you. A sacred rhythm is formed out of small actions, out of commitments that seem simple, yet are powerful enough to move the very gates of the miraculous. When you affirm your faith, you are not only speaking to me, you are speaking to the deepest parts of your own life, awakening dormant regions of faith, stirring courage to rise like a river of fire from within. Do not think that your voice is lost in a sea of people and becomes meaningless. In me, no voice is swallowed up. No word is treated lightly. When many people join their voices of faith at the same time, that sound creates a mighty trembling strong enough to set spiritual realities into motion. You cannot see it with your eyes, but you can feel it in your heart. The atmosphere shifts. The heavens open. Situations that seemed blocked for so long begin to find a way through. And it all begins with a very small act you dare to take, to speak, to write, to declare, to no longer keep silent before what I am calling you into. And that is also the moment I step into your space in a new way, not as a distant one who only hears whispered prayers, but as the one who stands very near, listening to every sound you make, noting every step you take in response, and using all those declarations to weave a picture of a future filled with hope. I have never been indifferent. I have only been waiting for you to open the door so that I may enter with the strength of covenant. For miracles are not born in the silence of fear, but in the boldness of faith. Miracles do not arise out of passive waiting, but out of the movement of a heart that chooses to stand up even while nothing has yet changed. Miracles do not come to places that stay shut. They come to places that dare to speak first, that dare to say, I believe, while darkness still covers their life. When you do this, you trigger the gates of heaven, and I, the one who always keeps his word, will step in, carrying a light strong enough to shatter every long night you have ever feared. And remember this, I never overlook the faith of those who declare what they have not yet seen. Heaven honors that courage more than all the praises that come after the miracle. Keep standing up. Keep writing. Keep publicly confessing your faith. Keep calling the kingdom of heaven into your life. For when your declaration rises, the door I open is not only over your life, but over all those who are walking with you in a collective journey of faith that I am raising up in these last days. This moment is not a random incident that has passed through your life. It is a time I marked out long before you knew you needed to be touched. This is the appointed hour in which I invite you to open all 4 dimensions of your soul, your heart, your understanding, your words, and your actions, to move in a sacred frequency that until now you have only stood outside and observed. This is also the moment I have waited for you to take your place as one who truly belongs to me, no longer trembling in the fear of being left behind, no longer hesitating because of your flaws, no longer living as one who only looks on but never steps forward, but as one who dares to proclaim the resurrection of their own life by the power given from heaven. Do not let this moment pass over your life like a fleeting breeze. It is not a beautiful feeling that appears and then fades away, but a wide open door I am holding before you, a new path I am inviting you to walk into, a turning point from which you will no longer be the same as before. I long for you to understand something very deep. Every restoration I give does not simply appear automatically without your response. I honor your freedom to such an extent that I wait for you to speak, to declare, to place your faith into my heavens before I release fullness into your life. Faith is not a pleasant feeling. Faith is a spiritual act written in words. Your declaration is the key that opens the realm of blessing I have long prepared for you. When you open your mouth to declare, you are not merely producing sound, you are sending a signal into the heavenly realm, writing a spiritual command code that my radiant hosts receive in order to begin to move. Heaven does not wait for you to be perfect, nor does it wait for you to be strong. Heaven is only waiting for your voice, the voice of a child who belongs to me, who dares to speak what I have written over their life. Look deeper, and you will see that this is not just a beautiful or moving moment. This is the hour for you to sign your spiritual name onto the new covenant I am laying before you. You have walked through dry seasons in which you thought your prayers were buried. Now I am giving weight to your words. You have had days when it felt as if all of heaven was silent. Today I am using your very voice to stir the heavens. You once feared that you had no value, that your weakness was not enough to stand before me. Yet it is precisely that sincerity and fragility that become the material into which I pour my power. You are not stronger than others. You are simply humble enough to let me act, and that is what sets the heavens in motion. Do not think that your declaration is just a few spiritual-sounding sentences. No. When you declare restoration, you are laying a new law over your own heart, rewriting the trajectory of your life, erasing the curses that darkness has whispered into your ears for so many years. I have seen the words the enemy has sown into you. You have no worth. Your life is only failure. No one needs you. God has forgotten you. Those sentences did not only wound your heart, they sought to shape your destiny. But today, in this very moment, I am placing in your hands the authority to erase them and rewrite them with my words. When you declare, you are doing what darkness fears most. You place light into the place it once inhabited. And once that light has been switched on, no darkness can extinguish it. The restoration I bring is not a mere return to how things used to be. I am not taking you back to the beginning. I am bringing you into the version of yourself I intended from the moment of creation. You will not simply step out of your wounds. You will become a living witness of transformation. I do not return what was lost in the same measure as before. I give it back to you, increased, expanded, and lifted higher. You have walked through seasons of rejection, but soon you will stand before doors I have opened just for you, doors no one can shut. You were once despised. Now you will be placed in positions that make others realize that only I could have done this. You once wept in nights where you did not know what to cling to. Now you will walk in a clarity you could never have created for yourself. I'm not merely repairing your life. I'm writing an entirely new chapter. And I want you to understand something else that is extremely important. The miracle you are activating carries within it the law of increase. It does not operate like earthly possessions, where dividing means losing and keeping means having. My miracles move according to the principles of my kingdom. The more you give, the more it multiplies, the more you share. The more it overflows, the more you sow, the more you reap. Do not be afraid that as you share my word with others, your own blessing will be reduced or lost along the way. You cannot become poorer by giving blessing. You can only become richer. When you speak my word to someone, you are opening more doors of heaven over your own life. When you send this message to the one I have placed on your heart, you are not only lifting them up, you are at the same time drawing blessing closer to your own life. You give 1, I return 10. You help one soul rise, I cause you to rise many times over. Therefore, I do not want you to simply listen and stop there. I want you to become a bearer of the message. I want you to open your mouth and send this word to the person I have just engraved in your mind. You may think that name is just a passing thought, but I tell you, that is the one I am seeking. The one I have chosen you to reach. In this vast world, there are souls who can only be awakened if you yourself become the one who carries my word to them. The connection is not accidental. It is a cord I have tied between you and them. I heal you not only because you have need, but because you will be the mirror reflecting the light I want to shine upon others. You will never fully know the impact of your words, but I do. I will use every sentence you share as a seed shot into the very patches of ground I have already prepared. This is the moment you must choose. Either you let my word lie still like a seed in your pocket, or you sow it into the ground to see what I truly desire to do. Do not let this opportunity pass by as a beautiful but useless moment. Do not think, I can do it tomorrow. Tomorrow does not belong to you, but this moment does. Today is the day I release multiplication. Today is the day I restore to you what has been stolen. Today is the day I renew your destiny with a word that has been waiting far too long. And I speak to you with all gentleness, yet full authority. Speak. Declare. Send this message to the one I have placed in your heart. For when you do this, the miracle you have just received will not stand still, but will multiply in measure, flowing into every corner of your life, like waters overflowing the banks after a great rain. You will see things that seemed to sleep for many years suddenly come alive. You will see doors that have long been shut swing wide open. You will see your life move in a direction that only I can bring about. And it all begins with today's declaration, with the moment you dare to activate the full restoration I have prepared for you. In the world I created, there are laws that have operated since the foundation of the earth, principles that far exceed all human understanding. And one of the most powerful of these is the law of giving. On this earth, anything divided seems to become smaller, lesser, reduced. People look at the numbers and see them diminish. They calculate with natural eyes and believe that what is kept for oneself is what truly belongs to them. But in my kingdom, where all things move by a sacred life, that equation is completely reversed. When you open your hand and share what you have, you do not lose. You step into a realm of blessing where everything is multiplied in ways your earthly mind cannot grasp. What you hold back for yourself will remain confined to the limits of your own hands. But what you pour out to serve, to lift, to share, I will place within it the life-giving power of heaven. And when that power of increase begins to flow, it does not stop at one life, but spreads like waves, passing through many souls, then returning to cover you with a fullness exceeding all you could ask or imagine. Remember the story the whole world has heard of, yet has never fully plumbed the depths of the day. I took 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish from the hands of a child, a meal far too small to feed a vast crowd. To human eyes, that amount was pitifully insufficient. It could not possibly meet anyone's need. But I did not look at the number, I looked at the willingness to give. When I broke those loaves, something extraordinary took place with every breaking. The bread did not decrease and the fish did not grow fewer. They multiplied in the very act of being shared. The fragments I placed into the disciples' hands became an inexhaustible supply, spreading to each person in that multitude who was hungry. All ate until they could eat no more. And when everyone was satisfied, I told them to gather what remained. And 12 baskets full were collected, far more than what they started with. That entire miracle did not begin with great abundance, but with something so small hardly anyone noticed it. A portion scarcely enough for a single family. Yet, when it was given, it became a downpour of blessing that fed thousands. If you listen deeply, you will realize that the core of this miracle is not in the numbers, but in the heart that knows how to open and give. If those 5 loaves had been hidden away, if the child had clung to them in fear of losing his share, if the disciples had refused to go and distribute because they thought it was too little, the whole crowd would have gone home hungry, and the miracle would have had no soil in which to take root. Only when the loaves were placed in my hands, and then placed by me into the hands of those willing to give them away, was spiritual life released. It was the very act of breaking, of sharing, of giving that activated the principle of my kingdom. It was not 5 loaves that fed 5,000, but the willingness to give that opened the door for my power to be poured out. You see, blessing is not born from holding on, but from opening your heart. Just as the earth must receive seed for the harvest to come, the human heart must be shared for grace to be multiplied. You cannot expect to receive 100-fold while clenching in your hand only a small part. My kingdom moves like water when water is trapped in a stagnant pond. It grows murky. It stands still. It loses its life, but when it is allowed to flow, it becomes clear. vibrant, and is continually renewed. You were created according to the principle of flowing water, not according to the principle of a closed, stale pool. When you keep the light for yourself, it can only illuminate a small space. But when you share the light, it spreads wide, and at the same time causes the light within you to shine even more brightly. This spiritual law does not depend on your feelings, nor is it governed by human reasoning. It operates like gravity whether you believe it or not. It is still at work. When an object is released, it falls. When a seed is sown in the ground, it will sprout. When a word of blessing is given, it will return in increase. In the same way, whenever you share what I have placed in your heart, you position yourself to receive more. I am not the one who keeps blessings back. I am the one who multiplies them, and I need only an open hand to begin the miracle. Do not think that sharing my word is only an outward act, like something you do simply to support someone. In the spiritual realm, every time you give a word of encouragement, a truth, a ray of light that I have placed within you, you are activating a river of grace to flow through your life. You become a carrier of blessing, and I will never allow the channel of blessing to run dry. The more you share, the more you are filled. The more you open your heart, the more room I have to give. The more you step out, the more you grow in your own calling. Those who remain closed can only receive according to the capacity of their own vessel, but those who give receive according to my capacity, and my capacity has no limits. Have you noticed that whenever I place someone in your heart, it is not just a simple reminder, it is an invitation for you to step into a new realm of blessing. When you send my word to them, you are becoming like the disciples who went among the crowds handing out bread and fish. What you send is not merely text, but spiritual pieces of bread with the power to nourish the soul. And when that person is strengthened, touched, and comforted, my divine authority flows through you, and that portion of blessing returns upon your life like wave after wave. You cannot see it with your eyes, but heaven sees it very clearly. No one who gives ever ends up at a loss in the kingdom of heaven. The one who gives is always the one who receives more. If you could understand more deeply, you would see that sharing my word is itself part of the miracle I have prepared for you. You are not only the one who carries blessing, you are also the one who is touched by that blessing first. I did not choose you because you are perfect. I chose you because you are willing. I did not call on you because you are strong. I call on you because I want to grow within you. And every time you open your mouth, your hands, and your heart to give what I have placed inside you, you are agreeing to step into a new level of blessing, not by your effort, but by my own increase on your behalf. Therefore, do not take lightly the prompting I am placing in your heart right now. Do not minimize the face that is appearing in your mind. Do not dismiss the urge to send this word to them. In that very moment, you are standing at a crossroads of the miraculous if you keep it to yourself. Everything remains at the level you now have if you give it away. A river of grace will break past its borders and flow into your life with an abundance you have never yet tasted. The miracle you have been waiting for all this time, a new direction, healing, prosperity, peace, does not come from something overly complicated. It begins when you are willing to let blessing flow through your life to someone else. And I tell you this, those who know how to share my word are never forgotten on the spiritual journey. The more you give, the more you become like me. The more you pour out, the closer you stand to the source of blessing. The more you bring light to someone, the brighter the light within you becomes. And in that very process, you will realize that you have never become poorer by living according to the laws of my kingdom. On the contrary, you become rich, rich in soul, rich in peace, rich in guidance, and rich in the very tangible things I am preparing to pour out over your life. You need only begin with one small step. Open your heart. Give. And let the miracle work. The rest I will do, and I will do it abundantly. Understand this deeply in your heart, no matter how great a miracle may be. If it remains only within you and never flows out, it will stop exactly at the border of obedience you have reached. A miracle is like water pressing forward, but if you keep it in a small jar of your own, it will only swirl around within that space and never become a river. Yet if you allow it to flow into the life of another, that water will begin to carve out a new depth, a new width, a new rhythm of movement that you could never have imagined. I established this principle from the moment of creation. Everything I touch becomes fruitful. Everything increases when given away. There is nothing that belongs to me that becomes smaller when it is shared. So it is with miracles. They are not gifts made to be stored, but living streams made to be passed on. A miracle finds its full meaning only when you become the one who transmits it, not the one who hides it away in some secret corner of your heart. I have set within the kingdom a principle that no power can change. Whatever is sown will grow. Whatever is given will return. Whatever is opened will be filled. It is not because I am bound to a rigid law, but because I desire that human beings live in increase and not merely exist in bare sufficiency. And do not think that I need miracles to spread in order to prove my glory. No. I desire it because you are the gateway through which my blessing passes. And every time you open that gate, my light has another chance to touch a soul still sitting in darkness. If you hesitate to share what I have placed in your heart, that does not make me weaker, but it causes you to shrink your own spiritual capacity, like someone who owns a field yet sows only a small corner, then wonders why the harvest is not abundant. And now, when I ask you about those who need to be lifted up, I am not testing your memory or your compassion, but I know that at the very moment you hear my word, certain faces are already becoming very clear in your heart. That is not your imagination. It is I gently leaning into your mind, calling the names of those souls who need a fresh breath of life. I know each one of them, the one lying on a sickbed, whose hope is as thin as a thread, the one wrestling with financial figures until they no longer know what is day and what is night, the one who lost their laughter long ago and lives only by forcing themselves through each day, the one standing at a crossroads of life, not knowing which way to turn, the one who has even stopped praying because they believe I no longer hear them. All of these I am placing in your heart at this very moment like lamps that have not yet been lit. Do you think their sudden appearance in your thoughts is a coincidence? Not at all. I speak, and with every word I speak, I gently open the door of your heart for these faces to enter. You do not need to explain why they appear. You only need to know that I am choosing you to sow life into them. With just one message, one reminder, one simple sharing, you can become a bridge, leading them closer to the light I have long prepared for them. You do not have to carry the burden of changing their lives. That is my work. You only need to do the simple part. You can pass on what you have received. And when you share, do not let your heart be cold like someone sending a message merely to complete a task. Blessing does not travel through dry actions, but through words carried on sincerity. Let your message bear a note that sounds like my whisper. The Lord stirred my heart to send this to you. Please believe it is just for you. Take time to read it fully. It will bring new light into your life. You do not know how that small sentence may cause someone in despair to pause. Breathe deeply, and for the first time in many months, allow themselves to hope again. You cannot see their eyes as they read, but I see. You cannot hear the tremor within them, but I hear. You are not standing in front of them when they shed the first tear after many hardened days, but I am there. Your sharing is only the key that opens the door. I myself will step into the room and do the rest. And I want you to know that when you become my messenger, you never return empty-handed. Every messenger who carries my word receives a double portion, 1 part for themselves, and 1 part sown into the person they share with. When you give my word, you are placing yourself in the current of a miracle you cannot fully comprehend. You think you are helping someone else, but in reality you are opening the door for blessing to be poured out more powerfully into your own life. Your very obedience in sharing this word is proof that you are willing to become someone I can trust with even more. And when I find in you a heart that is ready, I will not hesitate to place in your hands graces you never thought you were allowed to have. Think of a skilled farmer. No seed that is sown is ever lost. It turns into a harvest. Every word of sharing you give to someone is a spiritual seed. And just as the soil always returns more than the number of seeds sown, so the kingdom of heaven operates by that same principle. When you sow into another's life, I sow into yours. When you open your heart for someone, I open another door for you. When you give life, I give you fresh streams of water. When you bring light, I make you shine. And you will go from one surprise to another. Because what you give does not only touch the one who receives it, it awakens you, enlarges you, and transforms you in ways your mind cannot grasp. So do not just listen to this message and keep it like a keepsake. Place your hand over your heart and ask, who is the Lord bringing to my mind right now? And as soon as the first face appears, that is the person I want you to reach. Do not let hesitation drag on, for hesitation kills increase. Do not let the fear of bothering someone cause you to pass by a soul that is starving for life. Send the word, even if it is only a few lines, but send it with all the sincerity from the deepest place within you. When you do this, you are not only obeying my word, you are stepping into the place of one who carries light, one whom I trust, one whose name is known in heaven, and one whom the darkness must learn to fear. And you will see something wondrous begin to happen. Doors you once knocked on that never opened will suddenly swing wide. Anxieties you thought could never be untangled will be loosened, layer by layer. The very things you have been asking for without seeing any sign will begin to move. It is not because I am repaying you with material rewards, but because obedience has positioned you directly in the current of the kingdom of heaven. My wind never blows into hearts that are shut. It only blows into hearts that are willing to release what they have. And once you have been placed in that wind, you will never be the same again. Therefore, right now, while my voice is still resounding in your heart, act. Send this message to the person I am placing upon your heart. Do not delay. Do not overanalyze. Do not weigh and compare. Simply do the simple thing, give. For when you give, you are not merely passing on a message, you are opening a door for miracles to be multiplied in your life, in the lives of others, and in the unseen realm that you have never beheld with your physical eyes, yet is moving powerfully every single moment. And I say this to you with complete certainty, your obedience will never return empty. You give, and I will pour out. You sow, and I will send the harvest. You share, and I will multiply. This is the law of the kingdom, an unchanging law, and also a gift I reserve for those who are willing to open their hearts for the sake of others. Now open your heart as you would open the door of an old room, so that I may step in and offer up to me the most urgent cries that rise from the deepest place of your soul. Almighty God, I come to you not with hands that are full, but with a heart that has been squeezed tight by seasons of lack and by burdens I have carried for far too long, which I cannot loosen by myself. I ask that you turn the pages of my life that are stained with debt and fear, and replace them with provision drawn from the very glorious treasure store of heaven. I ask you to break every financial barrier that has caused me to shrink back in shame, to shatter the invisible chains that have kept my life stagnant, and to open above me new doors that only your power can move. Please grant me clarity of mind to steward the resources you entrust to me, Surround me with the right people to walk with me in my work, and give me wisdom to step into opportunities that come from you and not from the temptations of this world. Lord, lead me into the land of abundance that you have promised, where I no longer live hunched in fear of scarcity, but stand strong because I know you are providing for me day after day. Good Father, there are wounds inside me that have made me feel as though I deserve to be forgotten. But today I offer this whole soul to you and ask that you heal every hidden corner I have tried to keep concealed. I know that long stretches of loneliness have caused me to doubt your love, and broken relationships have made me forget that I am precious in your sight. Please gather up those fragments and turn them into a new foundation on which I can stand firm. I plead with you to bring into my life the people you have chosen, people who will not only walk alongside me but also protect, uphold, and help me move forward in the very course you have ordained. Grant me peace to receive them, discernment to recognize those who do not belong to my journey, and courage to step out of connections that only drain my soul. Father, lead me into relationships that are healthy, enduring, holy, and aligned with the path you are opening before me. Lord, you who see me in every circumstance, I thank you that you have not allowed me to drown in lack, but are leading me into a journey of abundant provision. I thank you for the doors you are opening, the resources you are preparing, and the burdens you are lifting from my shoulders. Thank you for not allowing financial shame to strangle my life, but instead rewriting my future with a prosperity that is sanctified by your very love. Every step you lead me to take carries a kindness beyond words, and I bow my head in gratitude for this. Merciful Father, I thank you for seeing the loneliness I tried to hide, the days when I believed I was completely on my own, and for quietly preparing wonderful people to step into my life at the very moment I needed them. I thank you for uprooting the old connections that had been wearing me down and replacing them with relationships that honor, build up, and love me in the way you desire. I know these things are not accidental but are the majestic arrangements of your hand, and my heart overflows with deep gratitude. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.